This whole song was basically a diss track about Samson. How could he just lie so bold-faced like that? I've got a check that I'm waiting to collect and he's just lying to me for free. And we know how this works, guys. I mean, I don't, but you guys know how this works. As he usually is, just walking with his size 14 feet. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and also welcome if you are new. I'm so grateful to have you all here. So my name is Akua B and here on this channel I cover all things faith, culture and encouragement, and as you can tell from the title of today's video, I'm going to be heading back into Judges with the story of Samson. And if you couldn't guess already from the end of last week's video, the woman that we're talking about in today's video, then you will get to know. And it is a juicy one. It is so juicy. But before we get into that juicy part 2 of the story time, I just want to quickly encourage you once again to leave a like down below on today's video and also comment anything that you're enjoying from it, or leave down below a story time from the Bible that you would want me to cover in the future, and I'll make sure to get to those comments and see what you guys are interested in. And also, if you haven't already, then please make sure to subscribe to this channel. If you like this kind of content, if you like what I'm doing here on this channel, then please make sure to stick around and click that subscribe button and turn the notification bell on so you'll know whenever I upload another story time. And if you haven't already and you would like to support this channel further and you would like to become a Bible buddy, then please make sure to click the join now button down below or click the link in the description and you'll become a Bible buddy today, which will give you access to exclusive content and numerous other perks. So without further ado, let's get into today's story time. Okay, so picking up from last week's story time in part 1, we've gone through a series of events. We've gone from Samson's parents not having children, his mother being barren, not being able to bear children. They've been told by this angel of the Lord that they're going to have a child. This child is promised to the Lord. They're told not to put a razor to his head, and this is where he will get strength from. This is the way that God has chosen to bless him. So this child gets raised up, brought up by his parents, so strong, so mighty, decides to use his power in some of the right ways, some questionable ways, and he grows up to become this man of influence among his people. He's even appointed to be a judge over the nation. So this is Samson's story. He's gone through so much difficulty, so much trial in his life for being the way that he is. He's decided to get married to another woman, a Philistine woman, and she has been given to his best man in the process of the series of events that he's gone through. Up till this point, Samson's life is really just giving chaotic energy. Like I said, Phil Mitchell energy from the last story time. So as we enter into this story time, that is all behind Samson. He's choosing to move forward now. He's wanting to live a new life. Or is he? So Samson goes into Gaza. This is where our story picks up in chapter 16 of Judges. So Samson goes into Gaza and he's like, you know what? I'm just going to let off some steam. I'm going to go visit a lady of the night. I'm going to go visit a prostitute. So he goes to this woman's house and he's spending time with her. We won't go into details there. So he goes to this prostitute's house and the Philistines are like, I think I just saw Samson, his size 14 feet, walk into, you know, the prostitute, the lady's house down there on the corner of the street. I think I saw his feet walk into her building. I don't think he's gonna come out until the morning time. We know how this works, guys. I mean, I don't, but you guys know how this works. So the Philistines are like, let's catch him in the morning and let's get him. This is our chance to end Samson's reign. Let's get him, let's catch him out whilst he's unaware. He's not going to think we're just going to be camping outside this lady's house. We've got the perfect opportunity. But then Samson, being the smart bean that he is, he already knows that people are on his back. He knows that he's a hot spice. He knows that he is a hot and popular commodity. So he's like, you know what? I think that people are going to be plotting after my life. Even as I'm laying down and minding my business, people are going to be after me. So he decides to get up in the middle of the night. He's like, I'm not going to spend the whole time here. I'm going to get up and gather my things and leave this place. But he doesn't just decide to leave this woman's house just, you know, freely and go back to where he came from. He decides to go all the way to the entrance of the city, take the gates off their hinges and carry them to the top of the hill and just leave them there, just for the banter, just to show I outsmarted you, I knew that you were going to do this, and I'm the man. So Samson has had his little fun. He's like, you know what, my heart is softened again. I'm really ready for love. So he's out and about, as he usually is, just walking with his size 14 feet. And he meets this woman called Delilah in the valley of Sorek. And he's like, I want to marry this woman, another Philistine woman. Bish bash bosh, let's get it done. Let's get to the altar. So he marries this woman called Delilah, but things don't just end there. He doesn't just decide to settle down, have a happy life. I mean, maybe in his mind, but Delilah, her people, they have other plans. They're Philistines. They can't leave the Israelites in rest. They can't leave them in peace. They can't just let them have free rest. What is that? So the Philistines approach Delilah. And you know what? I'm noticing a trend here. The people of the wife, they need to mind their business, really, because it's not between you. It's not a marriage of like 100 people. It's one-on-one. Your people, you need to just distant anyway. So her people come over to Delilah and they're like, you know what, we actually don't like your husband, so you're gonna have to tell us what his weakness is so that we can like kill him. Yeah, I know you just got married, but kind of don't like him. So she's like, well, I kind of do like him, I did marry him, so what's the deal? And they say, we'll give you 1,100 shekels of silver each. We all don't like him that much. We will pay you to get rid of him if you do what we ask. 1,100 shekels of silver. What do you need me to do? I mean, I'm quite busy, but I might have time. I might have a little bit of time just for that, 1,100 shekels. So the people convince her and she's like, yeah, I will try and find out what his weakness is. So she goes to her husband as often as she can without irritating his living daylights out. Darling, what is your weakness? I know that you have so much strength. You're mighty, you're powerful, you're handsome, you're bold, you're fierce. But what is your weakness? How can you be overcome? And he says, you know what, some fresh bowstrings. Fresh bowstrings that haven't been dried yet. Fresh bowstrings is my deadly weakness. I cannot survive it. Fresh bowstrings, just tie me up and then I will just not be able to resist. I will not be able to resist. So that night, that same night, she runs, her feet, her size 3 feet, they run back to the Philistines. And she says, I have the answer. It's some fresh bowstrings, my guys. It's fresh bowstrings. That's it. It's that simple, guys. Come on, quick, come over. So they come and camp out around and inside the house. They're camping, waiting for Samson to fall asleep. So then Delilah ties him up. She ties him up very tight and she waits and she says, Samson, the Philistines, they're upon you. Her own people, they're upon you. Okay. The Philistines are upon you. So Samson jolts up and he just breaks free of these ties straight away. Where are they? Where are they? Ready for combat. And the Philistines, they retreat. They say, I'm not trying to die. I am not trying to die today. They yeeted out of there so fast. They got rid of themselves. So Delilah is a bit miffed. She's like, my husband lied to me? How could he just lie so bold-faced like that? I've got a check that I'm waiting to collect and he's just lying to me for free? Crazy. So she continues to ask him and he gives in again. He gives her another answer. This time he says, new ropes. Not just bowstrings, ropes. You know those things, tied very tight, the whole thing very sturdy. He says, tie me up with some new ropes and I just won't be able to resist it. I will be overcome with that. Like, you have to believe me this time, please. So Delilah goes and she tells the Philistines again. Same thing happens again. They come over, camp out, wait to overcome him. And it just doesn't happen because Samson, he's told her another lie and he breaks free as if it's absolutely nothing. Delilah is miffed at this point. She's so angry. She asks him again, continually asks him, begs him, what is your weakness? I would find this a bit questionable if I were Samson, to be very honest. My wife continually is asking me, what my weakness is so that I can be overcome. I would honestly think she is trying to kill me. Why am I still with her? Anyway, he decides not to. He's just entertaining this as if it's just a bit of light banter. So she asks him again, and he tells her this time, my 7 dreads that I have in my head because I've never cut my hair. If you just tie those to the beams, then, you know, I will not be able to move. Then I will be overcome. And the same process happens all over again, and he breaks free, completely fine, unscathed. So Delilah at this point, she says, no, this needs special intervention. This needs a whole theatrical performance. She might have signed up for a few acting classes from the nearby woman in the village that does comedy shows on the weekend. She poured her heart out to Samson all the time, daily, day in, day out. She really wanted that check. She worked so hard for it. Any spot on any of the soaps these days, EastEnders, Coronation Street, Emmerdale, she would have had it by now because she tried so hard. She acted her heart out. She was like, Samson, if you really love me, why will you not tell me the truth? Why do you continually lie to me? Why do you not tell me what your weakness is, that you may be overcome? So Samson eventually, after all this nagging and just pestering, he gets so frustrated. He says, you know what? I've never cut my hair. From a child, I've been dedicated to the Lord, and I've never put a razor to my head. The strength that I hold lies in my hair. This night, Samson wakes up and he is surrounded. He's not able to move, his strength is gone, and he is overcome. The Philistines have got what they wanted. They have captured Samson successfully. Where is his hair? His hair is shaven. His whole head is shaved. I think is it size 1? Like a 1 all around. He doesn't have any hair left. His head is shaven. Delilah has finally got that check. She finally got that check. What she wanted this whole time. She got that check. The Philistines got what they wanted. Delilah got what she wanted. And Samson unfortunately trusted his wife. He really put trust in his wife. So Samson is taken into captivity by the Philistines. They don't just leave him with a shaven head, they also gouge out his eyes. So he can't see now, he's got no hair, and then they tie him up in bronze shackles. So Samson is away in prison. It's dark, it's gloomy, there's little drops of rain just dripping and dropping in this little prison that he's in. Really just not great conditions, and he's just being tormented in there even by his own thoughts. Not just maybe the insects and the mice and the rats scurrying about, but also by his own thoughts. How could I have trusted her? What has happened? Why did God call me to have this strength? What is the purpose for it all? I'm sure those thoughts were racing around his brain as he was in this prison cell. So the Philistines, they're not in Samson's mindset at all. They're on the complete other side. The grass is greener on their side. They're getting ready to have a massive celebration. So the preparations for this celebration are well underway. In these days, this party probably would have looked something like the scale of a small festival. I would say Glastonbury, but I don't know how big Glastonbury actually is in terms of numbers, but a massive party. People that were very high up in the terms of a hierarchy of ruling and leadership of the kingdom, all the way down to like common people. Everybody was invited. It was a whole temple celebration. Everything was just meticulously crafted. They even wrote a song of celebration, and they wanted to sacrifice to Dagon, who was their god. So they probably hired someone to write these lyrics, write these bars. Don't know who they hired at that time, probably the Drake of the time or the Beyonce. Anyway, somebody wrote a song. They were celebrating by song. They were having food, having drinks. Everything was just wonderful in their eyes. They'd overcome Samson. This whole song was basically a diss track about Samson. So they'd written this song, a celebration that that they've overcome him. They can rest. They can go terrorize the Jewish people in peace now. They no longer have someone that's going to come against them. And all of this time, they've done their sacrifice to Dagon, their god. They've written this song. The song has been performed meticulously. They're all celebrating. Did you hear that song? It was so good, right? I really loved the way that that bar changed into the chorus. It was so good. The beat drop was so good. It was so fire. So after all the song has been performed, the sacrifice has been made, they say, you know what? And it seems to be a theme. Even in Esther, they tried to bring out Vashti, but in this they bring out Samson. They're like, you know what, we need some more entertainment. Let's bring out one of our prisoners. Let's bring Samson. He's the man of the night. He's the man of the party. He's the MVP. Let's get him out, you know? So they get Samson out. He's blind, so he has to be carried in by an aide, somebody that aids him in to come and help him to navigate where he's going. But in this time, his hair has actually started to grow back. So he's no longer bald, looking like Channing Tatum in Step Up. He's actually growing hair out. His hair has grown long again. Doesn't tell us exactly how long, but it tells us that his hair has grown out. I don't know if he's still got those 7 locks, if he was able to find a hairdresser in the prison, but Samson had got his hair back. So as he was being led out into the party, he's hearing everything, the celebrations, the laughter. He's hearing people laughing at him. He's hearing people cheering his name in a mocking way. As he's walking out, he's just thinking, how did I end up here? What is going on? So he tells his aide, as the aide is leading him by the pillars, he can feel them. He's like, can you lead me to the main pillars, please? The ones that hold up the temple. So he goes by these pillars that hold up the whole temple, these 2 pillars, and he just starts entering into a time of prayer. This is actually a bit uncommon for Samson, because all the other times we've seen any interaction with him and God, it's always been the Holy Spirit coming upon him and then him being able to act. But this time we actually see Samson reaching out to God. God, remember me where I am right now, remember me. And he prays this prayer, he prays this long prayer of asking God to just be with him, give him strength. And he prays, as he's holding these pillars, that he will actually destroy the Philistines along with himself. And with a mighty push, his strength fills his body again, and he pushes on these pillars, bringing down the whole temple. It says in the scripture that he actually destroyed more people this night than any amount of people that he had destroyed in his past. So more than all of the people that had lost the bet and went and killed those 30 people, more than the times that he went and pillaged with a donkey's fresh jawbone, more than all of the other times that he came against the Philistines and mocked them and pestered them the whole time. He killed many more than his whole lifespan. And that is the end of Samson's story. It does not tell us where Delilah ended up. I would like to think that she went down in the temple with everybody else and was counting her money while she was enjoying the celebrations, but then realized all too late who her husband actually was and the strength that he held and the favor that God had over his life. Ultimately, Samson did overcome the Philistines in that way. Their temple went down with all of them. Their God went down with all of them, this Dagon, their God. We do not get an update on Delilah, but Samson is dead, and all of the Philistines that were in the temple for this celebration are also dead. So that is how the story kind of concludes itself. It is so depressing, but it is such a crazy story. I was just so excited to share it. The story actually ends with Samson being buried in his father's tomb, and he's actually buried between Zorah and Eshtaol. So yeah, his family, his brothers, his father's children, they come to gather his body, gather his remains, and then go and bury him in his father's tomb. So that was the story of Samson, and some of you know it as as the story of Samson and Delilah, but I think it's so much more than that. So I didn't want to limit it to just Samson and Delilah. So yeah, how did you guys find it? How did you enjoy it? Was there anything from the story that you had forgotten about, or have you never heard this story before? Maybe you're partway through the Bible and you haven't got to this yet. Were you surprised by it? What inspired you? What convicted you? Did anything encourage you from this story? And yeah, let me get into a few deductions now before I finish out the video. So what a story. Samson's story is just like crazy. I think it's so amazing to see the anointing that Samson had on his life the whole way through. Clearly God was with him, but obviously some of the ways that he used that power of God was in a way that wasn't so good. So we definitely saw that all the way through his life, that kind of battle and struggle between following God and God's desires and also trying to overcome the Philistines in a way that was glorifying of God as well. Yeah, Delilah, all his wives were so chaotic and troublesome. They always inclined their ear to their people, and instead of being in submission, in right relationship with their husband and with God, they instead obviously craved either money, or they craved to please their people, so they're working for the approval of man. So it was so interesting to see the way that people's hearts were in this story, the ways that they allowed others to influence them instead of God. So yeah, what a crazy story. I just find it's that all of the plot twists, like Samson's wife, his first wife, being given to his best man. I just don't know how you get over that. I'm just baffled by how the father-in-law saw fit to just give his wife away after he'd been gone, after that betrayal of the wife, telling the answer to the riddle that he gave them at the wedding party. It was just crazy. So yeah, that is the end of that story. I don't know if there's any more deductions to be said, but that's kind of what has come off the top of my head. Yeah, ultimately Samson was used to overcome the Philistines. He did rule as a judge for 20 years over the Jewish people, over the Israelites. And yeah, that is the story of Samson and Delilah. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure to leave a like down below, and also comment something that you enjoyed. If you enjoyed any part of this story, leave a specific part down below, and if you have any more future suggestions for story times, please also put that in the comment section down below. And also subscribe. If you've got to this part of the video and you haven't yet subscribed, please make sure to stick around and subscribe to this channel, and I'll catch you in my next video. Stay blessed and bye!